Good morning. So it looks a little dark in here because it's kind of early in the morning and it's cloudy and I got my window open, but I don't know. I kind of like the vibe, so I'm going to keep it like this. Um, so I woke up with this idea on my mind. First of all, Lord, help me make this video. It seems to help when I pray. Is anyone noticing? Help me freestyle this thing, Lord, in Jesus' name. So I woke up with this idea because I watched a debate, or no, it wasn't a debate, but there's a couple of sort of apologetic people, even though he doesn't call himself apologist. He's a scientist who just happens to be a Christian, but he's an older guy, John something, I can't remember, English guy, really smart scientist. And he said something that uh, has really stuck in my brain as far as like a really good tool to use for people because he was actually quoting C.S. Lewis, and it was something like he was using an illustration of like, if I the whole thing was about how there's different laws that govern the world. There's different sets of laws that govern the world, and some of them sort of overlap and usurp the other ones. And we all kind of know this intrinsically, but we don't think about it. And he was saying, if I stay at a hotel and I put $50 in a drawer, and then I go in the next day and I put $50 more in the drawer, and I have $100. And then I go back to put $50 more in the drawer, and I now have $10. He says, which laws have been broken? Was it the law of mathematics? Has the law of mathematics been broken, or has the laws of the country, so the laws of England been broken? Meaning, did someone can't come in and steal the rest of it? It's like we know how when we're trying to do something, we know, well, it can't be that math suddenly became obsolete and changed on us. We know, okay, someone came in and took my money. We know that is able to happen. Like this is stuff that we take for granted, you guys. And liars can come and twist us all around because you're ignorant, especially of things of the spirit, right? So, um, and they can they can lie and say things that are possible when they're not, or things are more likely than other things when it's not. So, like he was saying, if I drop a pin, like the law of gravity is always on. If I drop a pin and you reach out and catch it, are you more powerful than the laws of gravity? No, it's just that gravity works, but you can override gravity with your actions. In certain instances, in some instances, not, right? So, um, these are understandings that we're all living with. So, I started to really apply that to like things in the world. And I was thinking about how when people say, well, why, if God exists, why this or why that? And a lot of it has to do with these laws interacting. Or they'll say, why does God allow evil? Why does God allow this? Allow? And it's just like saying, why does God allow me to why does God allow gravity, or why does God not allow gravity to override your whatever? Like everything is sort of dancing with each other. So there's certain things that will say that even the question itself is making an exception that isn't true, that isn't how it's supposed to go anyways. So things like allowing the idea that Satan exists and God is allowing him to do things. He's actually not allowing Satan to do things. He's allowing you to exist among Satan's kingdom. That's why Satan is considered the god of this world, and not us, because we were supposed to take dominion over the world. That's what he created us to do. First commandment was literally just get larger in numbers. That was the only thing that he had that we had to do. And I do believe that there's something where he's always going to have us do something. There's always going to be a command. It's not going to be just like, hey, man, this world is for you, dudes. Like, do whatever. Like, he said, go forth and multiply. That was the only one. And then everything, I mean, really think about that. Because sometimes I'm on TikTok and you see people streaming. And a lot of times they're streaming. You'll see one that's like, God, Jesus is the one true God, changed my mind, and then something like that. It's not usually Steven Crowder stuff, but and then another one will be like, Christianity is absolutely ridiculous and can't function or whatever. Let's chat, and then you'll see another person streaming, and they'll be like, ex-Catholic, ask me anything, and then there'll be another one, and one of them that I saw last night was, Lord help me, I just was trying to make a point. It was something like, what did it say? I don't know. Maybe I'll come back to it because it was just anecdotal to what I was saying. But so people hear that story about the fruit and they think that it's a silly story. But there's a lot of silly stories. It's like when there's nothing at stake, when people aren't using it. I really think it just freaks people out that people might have to be forced to consider it in real life, and then that's what makes them just kind of deny that it's anything, that there's any merit in it, and they literally don't want to talk about it. But there's a lot of stories that are sort of lifted up as archetypal things that we could still learn lessons from. And even if you did that with the garden, I think something that as a Christian we're familiar with, and we give a lot of crap to pastors of the day who don't teach the word and it's full whatever, but there's actually still a lot of power in what they do teach you, because you hear often this sort of summation that once those two disobeyed in the garden, then the devil was able to take the keys and sort of became the de facto ruler of the world, because of sin entering the world and because of sin compromising the human race. And then Jesus was eventually able to take the keys back. Is there any actual mention of keys in the Bible? No. But although, no, I think Paul does when he's talking about Jesus. But anyways, but the point is that the reason why the devil was doing that wasn't just like, ha ha ha, I'm the villain in the Disney movie, and I'm going to be the big bad. Like, it's like he was strategically, intentionally looking for a way to sort of get them to self get themselves removed from the situation. And that's what he did. He got them to sort of internally implode and mess themselves up so that he could now become the ruler, because since they had sinned, it's basically like letting, I don't know, it's like when all drug dealers do, like the reason why drug dealers make money, same reason why Big Pharma really makes money, they're making money off of your sin nature. So they use your sin nature. They just go and just destroy people's lives. Like are they creating a product? Yes, but what they're really doing is they're creating a spell. There's creating a brew for your flesh, for your spiritual decayed condition to, like, because that thing is bottomless. Once you become addicted to drugs, you're going to you're going to put untold fortunes into that hole, and it's just going to go into a hole for you, and they're going to get rich off of that. So, the devil only has to do that for a few of our things. He'll use drugs, alcohol, any and all lust, whatever's, a couple other things. Maybe I wonder what the big five are: probably drug, alcohol, pornography, um, just us messing around, entertainment, and I don't know what's the fifth one. Probably our health. So he can just send demons off to do any of those jobs and then collect the dough. So that's how he has become God of this world. Is um, he's just exploiting this weakness that we now have, that we got through disobedience to God, that we're now disconnected. And you can say, well, why is God allowing that? He's not allowing that. He's allowing you to live because you should be dead. So that's not the question. The question is not how is he allowing. It's not that. Yes, he did create us, and yes, he created this world for us, but that's the part that Christians are trying to get people to accept, this idea of original sin. And the reason why is because where technically, like, these laws shouldn't override what God has created. It shouldn't. But when we sinned, that now the law is justice. It went from love to justice. And here's an analogy that I was going to add to something eventually. But, if you had if your dad was a judge over your entire, he was the high judge guy, and you killed somebody, would you expect that dad to help you hide the body? Or would you expect that dad to make sure you went through the proper channels of the law? And the answer is probably, it depends on the character of the dad, right? Dad loves you, but you committed a whole crime, and that's his whole life. So we tell people God is love, and that is true. But he is also justice, and he's also mercy. He's a couple of things, and they're all different offices. Your dad being a judge is going to matter, should matter, when when you come to him with a confession like that. And any parent worth their salt is going to allow their children to have consequences, small ones, so that they don't have to have big ones later. So every parent is going to have to should be, adjudicating in this way and showing children, like, listen, I love you, but there should be a certain fear there. It's not just like, oh, I'm frightened, but it's like, we don't want to not do what mom says. We don't want to go too far away from the house. We don't want, that keeps you safe. But all of those things we have to have because of the state of the world. And so he's allowing us to live. It's not that he's allowing the devil to do X, Y, and Z, or allowing Satan. Why are you allowing the evil? We are now the evil. We are now the corrupt group. And lawfully, it's almost like God has figured out a way to be both judge and dad. It's like, it would be like if your judge dad said, okay, we're not going to hide the body. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to turn yourself in, and then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to take your punishment. That is the completeness of both roles, of both loving father and judge. Do you see what I mean? So God figured out a way to satisfy all of the aspects of himself, all the aspects of legality and lawfulness and righteousness and love. Is it painful for us? A little bit, but if you really value righteousness and goodness and you really value these very large concepts and thinking about your existence and all of these things, like, it is really just brilliant and it's wonderful to just like look at. And that's what, when the Bible says the earth will be filled with the glory of God, it's like we are going to know, like, what, like, the way that God satisfies every thing that conceptually exists. It's math, it's science, it's philosophy, it's psychology, it's everything that we study. Like, he is all of those things in all of their most extreme, like, more than you can contain, engineering, biology, all of it. He is all those things at one time. And so we don't see it, especially if you're compartmentalizing it and you take it for granted. But yeah, so trying to think of other examples where things like overlap and like people ask questions. Well, how come this? How come, how come Jesus had to die? It's like that's part of this. So so yeah, I think I might be done talking. I feel like I made my point. I'll probably talk more about just all the overlapping things, all of the rules and what order they can be sort of used, which things can be, because things like, Satan and like, certain Christians who think, oh, well, if you're a Christian, you can't be possessed by a demon and you can't be, and possessed, no, but, they know the rules and they know which rule, they know the rules better than we do. Because let's not forget, these are what we would consider high IQ, smart, because we're doofuses. And when we're doofuses in the sense that, when we get to heaven, the amount of accounts that I've heard of people going to heaven, both heaven and hell, who can see it, like, you spiritually, you're just forget superhero, like, and that's just you. That's not even like anything that God has created to be like one of the heavenly hosts. You can zoom in on stuff. You have a 360 view. You can see, like, it's really weird to hear them explain it because they're trying to explain it to you and you just realize that you can't understand. They're just like, okay, just take my word for it. I could see everything. I could see behind me. I could see me. I could, like, it's just crazy. So everyone can, you can see what's going on in people's minds. You can see other people's lives. You can sort of zoom in on people and like determine, like, this happened. It doesn't matter where these people are at. It doesn't matter what, like, they all have the same report of their senses. So yes, of course, any person like that, any old Joe Blow Schmo who dies has more insight than the highest IQ person on the earth. So the spirit realm is just, yeah, and they know the rules and they know how to set traps for us. Like, that's just reality. So, and they're pretty, and a lot of people don't also understand, like, the most sinister, heinous human, like Satan and demons, like, these people have like a supreme level of hatred. Like, not only just from being like cut off from the presence of God and just belonging to a dark space, but just having like a real motive to freaking hate you. And if we're made in the image of God, and the Bible says that when angels see us, they see their Father in heaven, like this, this tiniest baby. So the same's got to be true for the demonic. So they will let you they'll let you pretend that you have a spirit guide. They'll give you powers. Um, they'll do a lot of nice things for you for now, because they're just fantasizing of the day that you have that realization once you die that you were completely duped the entire time. So they are playing the long game. So um, yeah, there's just a lot of realities that are overlapping at the same time, and God is handling them all, including our ignorance and a lot of things. Uh, People are just really are delusional. They think that if it's like just tell me all the information, and then I'll believe it. And it's like you won't. They don't understand how this works. It would be like, well, just give me just I don't know what would be the equivalent. It's like it's like not understanding how food operates or something. It's like, well, just give me the this and then I'll eat. It's like, no, no, that's not how it works. But the other thing that I was thinking of, I don't know, it kind of doesn't apply, so maybe I should just save it. All right. Well, anyways, thank you for your time. I struggled through that, but not. And yeah, I'll talk to you later.